of course, it does get picked up. There's Batiste banned away. It's a little interesting because, you know, Tyrus, while he can play a strong Batiste, it's not really something that he, you know, leans towards. Usually it's the Scarf or the Samuel, things of that nature, or even Grumpjaw if the situation calls for it. So Black Feather taken away. They're going to let the Salty Potatoes have their Kestrel.
Yeah, they're going to pick up, Kestrel will probably be picked up here. And then I think SK may opt for Adagio or, oh wow, Fortress.
Well, we said they wanted to go early
with
game.
Scarf. They're going to do the Fortress Scarf combo that they did before. Or Samuel, there we go. This worked. It's a Weapon Grace. Fortress counters Kestrel because of the Wolves. And then Samuel can just rain damage from behind.
Alright, so we've already seen them go with this one. The Weapon Grace in lane going into the hands of Kvolifar. Bacon's not a fan, but they managed to get the win with it. So, you know, you can't argue with results at the end of the day. What are Salty Potatoes going to have to go with here to finish out this composition?
They need something that's not really directional. They need something that can dive into backlines and get a lot of work done. Because if you go with anything that's directional damage, it's just going to get body blocked up by this Grace on the front lines. You want to have something that can go hard into the Samuel, try and force him out of position. Maybe something like a Glaive would work here for them. It's just, you need some kind of crowd control because they really don't have any. The Sky is one that can get onto the backlines, can have a little bit of crowd control. It's going to become very much about that skill matchup, though, as it almost always is with a Sky.
Yeah, they're going to pick Sky to counter specifically the carry Grace, so they can focus just the front line and blow the front line down, up.
All right, so make sure that when they do jump on in and try and force the issue, this team is going to be able to kite back and hopefully bring them down before they drop themselves. So what's the expectation for this game then? I'd assume that it'd be SK on the aggression on the front foot, as we always see SK. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're gonna play more offensive and like 3-item Grace, not as much defense. Fortress with the aftershock. They want to blow someone up immediately against Lyra. You don't want to play a sustained game against a Lyra comp. You want to blow them up. So I think if SK executes party, they can win the early game and snowball. But if they let this get to late game and Sky gets late game, it'll be a tough one. Kestrel late game too is really strong.
Yeah, huge amount of damage can come out of the lineup for Salty Potatoes. We'll see if SK can deal with it. And if SK can control the game like we're used to seeing them do. Let us know who you're supporting on Twitter using that hashtag Vainglory8. Get involved online. But it's time to jump into our European final between SK Gaming and Salty Potatoes.
Salty Potato is my team to watch here, AJ. Tweeted about it earlier. I think these guys are pretty good, and right now they're certainly proving it. SK, these are the powerhouses of Europe. They will be looking to put up a great challenge to the Salty Potatoes.
This is going to be an interesting game, too, just by virtue of the compositions that we have coming out here. We saw Kvolifar be successful with this Lane Grace yesterday, but this time around he's playing Lane Grace into a Sky, and Sky, although everyone knows, Sky is very good against the Captain Grace, I think will also be very effective against Lane Grace and just in general Weapon Grace. So we'll see if that pans out. I also think that of the carries you could put against a Grace, Kestrel is probably one of the better ones. Grace does not really have any way of moving around an active camo trap safely, so if Sneaky is positioning properly, could make life very difficult for Kvolifar. This all sort of screams to me that SK needs to, for a start, really have a pace-setting attitude in this game. They need to be very aggressive and try and close things out before Salty Potato hits their late-game spikes. But also, I think that perhaps the game is going to be largely about whether or not they can abuse Salty Potatoes indirectly by forcing them into awkward situations or positions or bad rotations. Because if you just try and straight up initiate into Salty Potatoes, you're going to have problems that Kvolifar struggles to solve, and by virtue of that, Tyrus is going to struggle to capitalize on the space Kvolifar is creating, because he won't really be creating space.
Fortress pick for Raph makes a lot of sense. It's basically reveals where Sneaky is going in the middle team fight, since he can active camo at will. The Fortress, Puppies, the attack of the pack, kind of just follows him around. Joker on this Sky can slow down, perhaps, the aggression that comes out of Kvolifar and Raph, but it can't stop it. And that's kind of the issue, is that SK have drafted this composition that just wants to go full speed ahead. Going to be really just trying to jump as quickly onto the Kestrel and Sky and put as much pressure down. Does look like SaltyPotetoes is going to secure this central tree, but at what cost? SK want the kills here. The Drifting Dark does expire, but here comes Cavalifar around the side, and that's going to be a kill going over to Tyras. The Joker, I don't think he escapes this, but he's going to make his move, at least attempt it. No, Cavalifar will find the auto attack and the kill. 2-0 to SK. SaltyPotetoes falling behind.
Yeah, and I think Cavalifar and the rest of SK pretty happy to make that trade. Cavalifar did have to give up some lane CS, but more than worth it, I think. Especially if we actually see some additional pressure being followed up with by SK here. You know, it was possible that Joker could have picked up a kill there, I think. It didn't quite pan out as nicely as he would have liked. But they do get the Trant, so things actually end up fairly close. Now that Cavalifar has picked up the lane wave, you can see that SK did come out net ahead off the back of that fight. You mentioned earlier the Fortress making a lot of sense. You kind of saw there, you know, how effective it can be. Did a lot of work for SK in just engaging that fight. Between Raph's Fortress and Cavalifar's Grace, they do have a lot of ability just to dive in. Gotta be careful about it being cancelled out by the Lyra or avoided by the Kestrel and the Sky. Item-wise, I think that, oh, hang on, Sneaky.
Yes, Sneaky in a bit of trouble. Classed, able to get him out to safety, but look at the Malice and Verdicts that Tyra's outputting. Classed and Sneaky both very low here, and, you know, the Fortress movement speed for his allies when charging towards a target. When we get into these all-out team fights, AJ will actually just allow Cavalifar to stick to his target so easily. He's going in, they're looking for class, but they're not going to quite commit to a turret dive.
Yeah, the Fortress is kind of the glue for this comp, because as I said, I think Cavalifar is really going to have a tough time in a vacuum getting onto the targets and being effective. But with the move speed and War Treads as well, he should still be able to do things. Plus, we might see him transition towards a more utilitarian build later on. You know, picking up an Echo, for example, is something we saw from him previously. If that happens, it's less about whether or not he can stay on a target and more about whether or not he can force them to burn mobility spells so that Tyrus can actually land his abilities afterwards. Right now, lots of damage.
Classed almost dead here. Tyra's one more Malice, and there it is. Able to find the kill on to Class there. Now Sneaky and the Joker with the hard task of trying to defend this turret. Clearing the wave as quickly as possible, but look at Raph diving in. Joker in trouble as well as SK just split the threat between the two members of SaltyPotetoes. They're not going to be able to secure the turret off this push, but Raph has made his way to the shop to buy a fountain, and Classed isn't going to have one available. So there is kind of a chance to turret dive here if they wanted to. They have that regen that can come through.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think that right now SK's bet, though, is to try and just invade the jungle and slow down Joker. Taking a turret is a little risky. You never know what's going to happen. Joker's now level 6. Death from above can really shut down that kind of play. Whereas if you just try and steal away jungle camps, you're forcing SaltyPotetoes to fight you in a position where they don't have backup from a turret. And I do think that in a straight-up fight, at least for now, SK has a noticeable advantage. It's going to be even bigger once Cavalifar hits 6, which he's about halfway to. Start shoving this wave up, trying to hit that point ASAP, so they can actually make those group rotations.
It's a tough start for the SaltyPotetoes. They are really just finding themselves the victims of the aggression from SK so far. Joker finishes his Frostburn. Tyras is considerably ahead already in his build. Going to be looking to try and finish that that Broken Myth before the Joker. Joker may even be forced to go even harvest. We'll be interested to see what happens. Consistently just stealing away this front treant away from Joker. Just puts SaltyPotetoes a little bit behind every single time. Class face checking a bush. Oh, the Oblivion just sidestepped. The Class now has to escape these Malice and Verdicts, and look at the damage he can put out. It's just insane from Tyras. Oh no!
What?
That was a benediction onto Sneaky!
What?
And the retribution, the AoE found the auto attack. Oh, that is hard to eat right there. Hard to swallow.
Damn, that was brutal. Oh man, Benediction's a good ability, Galaxy.
It's a good ability.
So much work.
Oh,
What is that?
that is insane! Sneaky! Can he escape Joker? Can he escape? So real questions being asked here. Class comes through with a fountain to try and keep SaltyPotetoes in this one. SK, though, they are very happy to just walk away from this. Kvalifar is just looking for the next benediction. With that tension bow, it just does so much burst. He has Sorrow Blade ready to go as soon as he makes it to a shop. Finishes it off. See that minion candy coming down. Class in a bit of trouble. Tyra's looking for the kill. Can't quite get in range, but finally for SK, they've done enough work to secure themselves a turret and a 2,000 gold lead.
You know, my point earlier about just pressuring the jungle is invalidated when you realize that Kvalifar can deal 400 damage bursts like that. That's disgusting, and it's splash damage too. So he's actually hitting a number of people, making it really difficult for SaltyPotetoes to even react. This game is teetering on the edge of snowball. You know, it could really get out of hand in like the next 4 or 5 minutes if SK finds maybe 2 more plays like the last one, which, given the map being opened up by taking the first turret, they're not in a bad position to do. Now, for you guys who maybe haven't seen Weapon Power Grace so much, it's big to notice that, you know, this is all happening with just Tension Bow Sorrow Blade. You know, Tension Bow.
Wait, with Tension Bow, he only just finished the Sorrow Blade.
Yeah. You know, Tension Bow does so much work on this hero. Really, really effective. He's actually got infusion in his inventory, too. Yeah. Imagine if he popped it prior to going on the Joker. Could have been crazy.
Insane. Too crazy. This is and for SK, they just transition Kvalifar into a bit more of a supportive role once Tyros is at the position where he can hard carry. In fact, yesterday he picked up an Echo on his weapon power lane. Grace trust it to Kvalifar to take a melee captain hero and play it in the lane to such success. Basically, Grace the new Lance, it seems here. SK tried to pioneer the weapon power Grace very early on into a release on Tyra's. It took them a little while to figure out that it was Kvalifar who needed to play it. SaltyPotetoes pushing SK off the turret. SK do fall back. They don't quite have the best of kite, SK, so very important that they're the ones making the aggressive moves with this Fortress, with this Grace, and all that damage onto Sneaky. Fountains pop, Sneaky's in trouble. Oh, Class will put himself in front of the Malice and Vertex to keep his carry alive, but the turret, it will not remain alive. Kvalifar will heal himself up, and SK just walk away with yet another objective.
Watching this makes me sick, Dalsy. This is ridiculous damage coming out of Kvalifar. He is half health and Sneaky. It's a point and tap ability. You know, it's not something you can avoid. It's not a skill shot. it's just I tap on you and you die, which is gnarly. And, you know, Tyrus, for him, Malice and Verdict might as well be point and tap. He lands 90% of them. So basically you're guaranteeing that right off the bat, someone on the side of SaltyPotetoes is going to be going down, which forces a very early fountain from the side of Class. You know, this fountain, when it has to be popped like this due to burst, loses a lot of its efficacy. Because ideally you want to use it when your whole team is low. But because Kvalifar is just diving in and dealing mostly damage to one target in a lot of these situations, because these SaltyPotetoes do need to split up and avoid being splashed on, they're only finding the heal onto one person. Their fountain is doing a lot less than the fountain of SK Gaming. They do have a broken myth now on Joker. That is a good pickup. He is not the main target in a lot of these fights. It's typically been Kestrel or Lyra. So maybe he can turn things around. Got to keep our eye on Joker in this next fight.
Class down. Solo already, and Sneaky, he's just tanking up Samuel's damage. That is so much from Samuel. Tyros cannot allow this man to do what he just did there. 5 broken myth stacks. He's going to look to try and take this turret with the rest of his guys. Joker doing his best to clear the way, but the minion candy makes it hard to do so. 11-minute choke point turret. SK, it's no wonder North American teams said these are the guys to watch out for at the last Unified Western Live Championships. SK are going to certainly be trying to turn heads once more as we move on to the Summon ones in just a month's time.
All right, so it's only 12 minutes into the game. Kraken is still 3 minutes away, and there's already 3 turrets taken by SK. This is when the mettle of the team is really tested, because they need to figure out how to continue accruing advantages. Otherwise, you know, Joker and Sneaky can't outscale them. But where do you go, right? It's pretty difficult to push under 2 turrets. It's also pretty challenging to necessarily fight under the sentry and around the amount of walls that are by the sentry, because Joker can get over them very easily. Lyra Arcane Passage can really make the fight messy, and it can be challenging to find the openings that you're looking for, although SaltyPotetoes got to be careful here.
Yeah, Class a little bit caught out, down to half HP. Warchurch was popped by Raph to try and get them in, but, you know, this is what they're doing. They're just minion cannoning these waves continuously, AJ. We haven't seen, I don't think, much priority on minion candy as a whole here in Europe whatsoever, but SK certainly have figured out exactly how they can use it. They can use it to force macro rotations. Every single time they can force basically the map rotation from a team that's behind by making the wave push in towards the base. It opens up the map. Either it's a turret that they can take easier because the minion candy makes the minions tankier, as Class just gets deleted once more, holy crap. And now Joker chasing goes down. That is just misposition from SaltyPotetoes. It's either minions that are super tanky and can't be cleared well, or it's minions that you are forced to clear quickly, or they get to your turret, and just continuous buffing from Raph.
Oh man, all right. So next game, I think we got to start talking about the draft. You know, I would definitely not let the Grace through. You never know if it's going to be on. Oh, never mind. Maybe I was trying to make a joke, but SaltyPotetoes don't like that. They want to take down Kavalifar.
That was just a bit of BM for SK, I think, to chase basically to the edge of the healing platform.
Yeah, it is a little bit far. A little bit risky. They're going to have to back up here. Only around a minute till the Kraken, though. I cannot see them not just capitalizing on that straight away. Trying to pick it up, force SaltyPotetoes into do-or-die territory.
I love it. You may not be able to see it, but Raph has just candied the wave once more. And look at where the wave is currently positioned. It's positioned right down, so he's candying the next wave, which means that SaltyPotetoes have to force it. He's just continuously having 4 in his inventory, and it forces SaltyPotetoes to move towards that back port of the map. It keeps them locked up, and SK allows them to buy themselves vision and really just try and take over the areas of the map that they want to play in.
Yeah, I love using the minion candy as basically, you know, a carrot for the enemy team. Like, go deal with this minion wave. Meanwhile, I'm going to get scout traps down on your back camps because you're busy up in the lane. That kind of stuff really can be the difference between winning or losing a game, actually, because vision is so critical. SK, they're going to very efficiently pick up this last gold mine here. Kraken is about to spawn. Again, I don't see SaltyPotetoes being able to win a fight over it right now. Really going to be reliant on, I think, Joker. He's the key person for me. Going to have great positioning. Going to have to hit SK from the flank. If you can force SK to split focus, or if you can force them to split position even, could be in a good spot.
Our SaltyPotetoes are so pushed up here. SK are just going to initiate immediately. Look at Sneaky's health bar, it's melting. Gets the fountain as Class just body blocks the Malice and Verdicts. Raph will go very low, but it's not low enough. Joker, he cannot escape Kavalifar, and Tyrus finds the kill. Raph just running, but only to his death. SK find the kills, and Ace at 15 minutes. Who cares about the Kraken? They've got minion candies, and they got a buffed up wave about to hit the turrets. They're going to finish this one right here, right now. SK, such dominance in a 10-0 game, a completely flawless round from them here. And in game 2, SaltyPotetoes are really going to have to figure out how to take down this early aggression from SK.
This week, SK have looked like the old Team Secret in Europe. You know, they've had that kind of dominant performance up until now. Maybe SaltyPotetoes can change my perspective in next game, but I'm starting to see SK as a team that's looking to build a legacy again.
We'll have to see if that legacy can be built, if they can lock themselves into first spot up there with Fnatic. Either way, game 2 on the cards in just a bit. Let's see what the analysts have to make of SK's performance.